Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're dusting off a legendary case file, and I'll be putting on my criminologist hat to walk you through a mystery that completely shook Thai society nearly 70 years ago. We're taking a time machine straight back to 1955 Bangkok to dive into the murder of Nuan-Anong. Now, this isn't just your standard true crime story, guys. No, it's a tangled web of lust, hidden motives, and baffling evidence that literally challenged everything investigators thought they knew back then. So let's jump right in, shall we?
Picture this. It's post-World War II Bangkok. The city is booming, and the streets are this wild mix of old world charm and new world ambition. The air is thick with change. But then, in the early hours of the morning, that peace is just shattered. The discovery of Nuan-Anong's body instantly becomes front-page news. And it wasn't just because she was a high-profile socialite. The crime scene itself was an absolute nightmare for the detectives. It was eerie and filled with contradictions that completely defied all normal criminal logic.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the chilling contrast we see here. On one hand, you've got signs of just brutal, ruthless violence, clear evidence of a desperate struggle and a fatal attack. But then you look at the rest of the room, and the police find these meticulously staged elements. Things were deliberately, carefully placed, which, immediately rules out a simple, chaotic robbery. Whoever did this had a very specific intention, and they took their sweet time to calmly alter the crime scene.
Part 1. The Rules of Engagement, True Crime and the Law. Before we open this case file any further and look at the suspects, we've got to lay down some ground rules. Analyzing historical crimes isn't just about satisfying our curiosity. We have to be incredibly strict about staying within the bounds of Thai law.
So here's how we're handling the data today, strictly following 4 key legal principles. First up, defamation law, both criminal and civil. Because these suspects were never definitively convicted, we are completely withholding their real names to prevent any legal issues. Second, privacy rights. We absolutely must respect and protect the families who are caught up in this tragedy. Third is copyright. Everything we analyze today relies strictly on unaltered newspaper archives from 1955. And finally, the Computer Crimes Act. That means 0 false data, no twisting the facts, and no sensationalizing. We're staying totally neutral and sticking only to the historical public facts.
Part 2. The Tragedy of Nuan-Anong. All right, with our investigative boundaries securely set, let's shift our focus back to the very heart of this case file and understand exactly who the victim was.
Nuan-Anong was the ultimate picture of a modern, post-WW Thai woman. She was charming, beautiful, and held a really high social status. She represented a new era. She was independent and highly desired. Her social circle was vast, pulling in everyone from high-ranking civil servants and wealthy merchants to local influencers. From the outside looking in, her life seemed absolutely perfect, like a bed of roses. And honestly, that's what makes her sudden, brutal end so incredibly shocking and heartbreaking to the society of that time.
Part 3. Vortex of Lust. The Suspects. Because of how this scene was staged and the fact that no major valuables were missing, the police quickly pivoted their investigation. They concluded the motive wasn't greed, it was lust, romance, and jealousy. Investigators started digging into her complex personal life, bringing 3 very distinct men right into the spotlight. This really shows the complicated web she was caught in. Keeping our promise of anonymity, let's look at the profiles of these 3 men. First, the wealthy man. He had deep financial ties to her and was ready to provide absolutely anything. But did his generosity come with a dangerous need for control? Next, we have the handsome man. He won her over with sweet words, but investigators strongly suspected he was hiding some pretty dark secrets. And finally, the mystery man. Witnesses confirmed he was the absolute last person seen with Nuan-Anong, but his true identity? A total ghost. 3 men, 3 totally different motives, all swirling around one unfortunate victim.
Now, you'd think with 3 prime suspects, an arrest would be right around the corner, right? Well, this is exactly where the 1955 investigation hit a massive brick wall. Every single time the detectives thought they nailed their guy, the physical evidence would completely contradict them. They found latent fingerprints at the scene, along with these mysterious letters. But get this, they matched absolutely none of the 3 suspects. 0. It was incredibly frustrating. The evidence was speaking, but the police at that time just didn't have the tools to translate what it was saying.
Part 4. The Legacy, the Dawn of Thai Forensic Science. And that brings us to the profound historical significance of this tragedy. Even though the case itself turned into this unsolvable maze, the failure to crack it actually became a massive catalyst for the future of Thai law enforcement.
Take a look at this because it perfectly sums up the legacy of this entire case file. The glaring inability to process those unidentified fingerprints
and the lack of advanced tools to analyze those letters, it proved without a shadow of a doubt that old-school police work, just relying on interrogations and witness statements, was no longer enough. The tragedy of Nuan-Anong literally sparked the realization that Thailand desperately needed modern forensic science, birthing a whole new era of criminology in the country.
Nuan-Anong's story is a powerful reminder of how one single tragedy can reshape an entire justice system. We've walked through a brutal, staged crime scene. We've examined a vortex of suspects through strict legal boundaries. And we've seen how completely mismatched evidence forced a nation to modernize. But, the shadow of 1955 Bangkok still lingers, with all the contradictions, the staging, and that phantom last visitor. I want to leave you with this thought. What do you think was the real motive behind the tragedy of Nuan-Anong? Thanks so much for joining me in exploring this historic case file today. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.